Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Wilkinson, as we discussed recently, I wrote to the DoD Inspector General late last year, concerned that not all Guard members were protected as whistleblowers due to the Inspector General's interpretation of military whistleblower protection statutes. The IG wrote back last month saying that it would begin expanding whistleblower protections to Guard members operating under Title 32 status. This is a welcome update, but I really believe that all members of the Guard should be protected regardless of duty status. Further, I do not believe it was Congress's intent in passing military whistleblower protections to have these protections be dependent on a specific duty status instead of simply tied to being a member of the armed forces in general. In Wisconsin, because of brave whistleblowers, the National Guard Bureau's Office of Complex Investigations uncovered a history of reprisal, retaliation, and command-initiated investigations that were out of line with DoD sexual assault prevention policy. We have to ensure that these types of whistleblowers are protected from reprisal. So can you discuss the importance of ensuring that whistleblower protections include all Guard personnel? And do you support a change in definition of, quote, member of the armed forces that would ensure whistleblower protections for all members of the Guard?
Yes, Senator. So when we look at the intent of that policy, our key is to work with the 54 adjutants general in their states to make sure that they follow the intent of that policy unique to their state. And so we will look very closely with them and work with the adjutants general as those that would implement that to make sure that we have a policy that covers all of our Guard members based on their service.
Thank you. General Wilkinson, can you explain a little about how the Office of Complex Investigations works? For example, how are cases assigned, how are investigators trained, and how does OCI decide which sexual assault cases it investigates?
Yes, Senator, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. So when we look at our Office of Complex Investigations, because 95% of what we do operates in the Title 32 or in a state status, the majority of the time we're not under Title 10. And so we rely on our local law enforcement and local prosecutors to address serious events, specifically sexual assault. And in cases where the local law enforcement may not take the case, we had created an administrative review under our Office of Complex Investigation. In that case, the victim or the adjutant general can ask for the OCI to come into their state and conduct an investigation, administrative, and make recommendations to the chain of command. And so what that allows us to do is to take a look at some cases that may not be accepted or may not meet the criteria of local law enforcement, and it gives us an avenue to address those issues. When we look at where we are today, traditionally we had about 18 to 24. Shortly after becoming the chief of the National Guard Bureau, I reached out to the 54. We were able to get 32 trained investigators right now. We also separated it from our general counsel and is independently, and is now led by a general officer with a legal background in a civilian career, who General Walker is doing some incredible work, making sure that we look at all of the new cases, but also the backlogs. And the key is we're trying to get the older ones done as quickly as possible so that we can get current and reduce the time frame from when it's reported until that adjutant general receives a completed report.
Does the Office of Complex Investigations have enough investigators to investigate every case sent to it from the states at the current staffing level?
Senator, we could always use more resources. For us, it's finding qualified personnel across the organization that have the time to do this or could leave their civilian career to do this. So we could obviously always use more, but it's a fine line between that and those capable to do it that are volunteering to do it.
Yeah. How many investigators would the Office of Complex Investigations need to keep current and what funding or other assistance from Congress could help you get there?
So, Senator, I know we have 32 today, and General Walker recently came on board. He's doing a complete review of the entire organization. So if you don't mind, I would prefer to get back to you directly from him, because I know he's looking at the caseload and the number of folks he would need and the exact resources.
I appreciate that, and we'll look forward to that information. Let me add on to that. What would the National Guard Bureau require in order to have the Office of Complex Investigations do, say, top-down reviews for each Guard unit on a rotational basis or as a matter of routine in order to ensure that their sexual assault policies are in line with federal law?
Yes, Senator, I'll defer to General Walker, and I'll get his specifics there, but I know this is something that we work with our 54 adjutants general to make sure that they're following the policies directed by each of the services and that they meet those requirements, and that we review them to make sure that they have the personnel assigned to the areas where they're supposed to be, and also to make sure they're trained. And one thing this has brought up is the availability of school seats. Also, the unique environment the National Guardsmen operate in, since 95% of our time is in a Title 32 status. And so we're actually right now exploring the potential of creating our own schoolhouse to really take the best of what the Army and the Air Force does, but also train to the unique environment the National Guard operates in.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Senator.
that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you.